Welcome to today's collective reading. This is Trinity Gaia Consciousness. I'm going to open today's reading with some resonance, setting the intention for this space to be set apart and calling your spirit team, your divine, your unique relationship with divine closer to you, that you may have some synchronicities that can come through for you today, whether they are synchronicities in this moment or synchronicities that will begin to make sense as you encounter more situations, dynamics, people, or God incidences. I kind of like that phrase, God incidents, instead of coincidence. And any of the fans of NCIS, Gibbs, I don't believe in coincidence. If you're not familiar with the TV show, he's the lead investigator. Wherever there's a coincidence, there's a pattern. And there's a pattern, there's an avenue to investigate. There's something to it. So today's reading, I have a power animal for us, and it's a power animal that is more of a synchronicity, a sign, a symbol of what you have shed, what you have left behind, what is no longer a part of your world. It's what you have overcome. And I'm not going to go into great depth with it because it's just kind of ugh. And you'll understand what I mean in a moment. So it is the Arctic lamprey. So this is a parasitic water eel-like fish. And yeah, so it pretty much attaches to another larger fish and it anchors itself with teeth, and then I know, right? But what it does is with its tongue, it has like these teeth on it too, and it just kind of irritates the skin. It kind of sandpapers it until there's a little bit of bleeding, i.e. the vampire aspect to it. And that's how it gets its nourishment. So it's just this consistent irritation that you've been experiencing. Whenever you'd heal up a little bit, then it would irritate again. Whenever you would recoup, heal, get a little bit more energy through you, it would re-irritate. Well, this is something that has fallen away. This is something that you have overcome, that is no longer attached to you. Do like a happy dance, right? Like, I don't have to deal with that anymore. Do like that. I don't know. It kind of gives you like this ick vibe, just the description, and I could go more into detail, but I'm sparing you guys. So there is another power animal, actually two, that came up in the information in the research, and that would be the Greenland shark, whose really unique feature is that there is a genetic quirk that allows a chemical composition to be present in their bloodstream that acts as antifreeze. So when they swim, it's slow, but they're still swimming because they have that genetic quirk, and they can be quite large. They even can take out large prey like, I believe it was elk and polar bears even. So they are an apex predator. They are the peak of the pyramid. They're king of the ocean in that area. The other power animal that came through was Leo, lion. Lion, because of the almost automaton, like you kind of feel the illusion, the steering of your thoughts with this spiritual aspect to the lamprey, the Arctic lamprey. So that came out with one of the first examples that I recall of an automaton was actually created by Leonardo da Vinci, and it was a lion that he created for, I believe, the king. I'm not sure which king, but you can still see a working replica. It's in a museum somewhere. I saw it. in some episode on the History Channel. But it was really fascinating because, like they really only did X, Y, or Z. They didn't get to have any independence. So it was that kind of you're limited in the conclusions that you could come to, and you could feel that you would be reaching for something. You'd be reaching for a different angle, a different thought, a different word, and it would just be denied you. So that's that kind of automaton, like it would limit your ability to think outside of the box it placed you in. Okay. There was also a lot of synchronicities with the repetition of four numbers throughout the research. It was like 10, 10, 10, and then another 10, and then, 7, 7, 7, 7, 1, 1, 1, 1. And there was 6, 6, 6, 6 that came out, 2 66s. Like there was a pause in between. The other thing that was very highlighted was this sense of 7-year cycles of challenge, like the heavenly versus like the lower vibe. I mean, I don't want to say like hellish or demonic or anything like that, because it's like they would be competing over the decisions in which they could sway you to make, and it wouldn't necessarily be you in particular they were competing over at in that 7-year cycle, but there would be specific individuals, and they'd be all over the world. And in my own little corner, there was very obvious, other than this reality influence over what appeared to be random, i.e., God incidents, coincidence. And I don't want to go into great depth with it because I mean it's kind of freaky, and people did end up being hurt in some of these instances, and I really want to respect their families and them. So I'm not going to dive into that in great detail, but I will say that I have seen from the information presented to me the example of 3 instances that occurred within 2 7-year cycles. And yeah, yeah, yeah. So one occurred at the end of one competition, or one like blue versus red team, and they would influence our world in such a way to create catastrophes that just seemed so random. And then there was like a culminating point, like a midpoint, and then a final catastrophe that ended up actually being kind of a win for the good team, because it occurred before there would be a lot of people and no one actually ended up getting hurt. But the initial, yeah, yeah, it was the beginnings of something that would culminate in something that, like I said, I don't want to go into detail with that. I don't want to disrespect those that lost their lives in that incident. So it's kind of a reality check looking at this and seeing it all fall into place, and yeah, just how everything is connected to everything. It's overwhelming. And that's like the biggest scale that you could look at it. When you come to the individual, you and me, and the choices that we make, when we're in our 7-year cycle, it's pretty much the beginning of the 7-year cycle follows some kind of major life change. Maybe you moved, maybe you had you're like a falling out with a major relationship in your life, and you had to not just move, you had to change careers, you went back to college. Maybe you had a bit of a health thing occur that you just had to start over from scratch. Whatever it may be, you spend the first 2 to 3 years of this cycle establishing your new norm, putting in your roots, and getting a good feel of a consistent foundation. The next step would be a 1 to 2 year cycle where you are like, okay, well, this is consistent. So who am I now? Where am I at now? What do I want in my future? What would I like to manifest, live? What am I desiring? And what healing can I do right now to feel like I have a really good self-awareness going into creating space for this new manifestation, this new beginning. And once that happens, then you begin the challenge period where you are met with obstacle after challenge after, here's a new spin on an old wound and you get to heal it in this way now. So it's 2 to 3 years of just breakthrough, 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 breakthrough. And it's very muchly like a endurance marathon triathlon kind of a thing. So by the time you get to the end of this, if you, and definitely this particular, you guys with kind of freeing yourself of that vampiric eelfish lamprey thing, you made it to the end of the marathon triathlon. And if you look at any athletes at the end of one of those, oh my gosh, their muscles, their body is just a mess. And they have like a team around them, helping them cope with the pain and helping their bodies calm and their muscles recover and making sure they have the nutrition coming into them to help their body calm and recuperate. Like, it's a pretty intense thing. And at that point, that is where we are right now. So you may be feeling really, really exhausted, abnormally tired. You may be cycling through like cold spells and then warm spells, and you do anything active and it just depletes you, or it triggers yet again like another cold or hot spell, or you have to take a nap and it's just, am I sick? Do I have a cold? I don't think I have a fever. I don't have body aches. I don't have a sore throat or a cough. Like, what is going on? It is your body purging and clearing and cleansing and upgrading this new integration that you were able to make a part of you in the shedding of this. You basically became immune to it. It became something that it couldn't take from you. Like, you ended up with like diamond skin. It didn't matter how much that raspy tongue tried to irritate you. It wasn't stronger than diamond. You're stronger. So integrating that, healing it. There's also a synchronicity that came through with flashes of intuition. Like, do you know that the longest traveling lightning strike from a storm was over like 200 miles? So, clear sky, lightning strike. Crazy, right? So, it seems like it comes out of the blue, but it's legitimate. And should it occur in a desert, for example, it creates the most beautiful natural art when it turns the sand to glass. And that is a synchronicity with the movie Sweet Home Alabama. Oh my gosh. That kind of like mumbled that last word, Sweet Home Alabama, with Reese Witherspoon in it. It's like their thing, love story is their thing. Because lightning did strike twice for them. They had a second chance. And he was holding on to, a piece of this glass. And yeah. So it's a beautiful movie. I would recommend watching it if you haven't, to catch any other synchronicities that may really land home for you. I will say it is a happy, I think they call it HFA, HAF, happily ever, happy ending. I don't know. It has a happy, good ending, okay? Okay, so there's also a lot of different changes right now, because this is also resonating for the reading that I did earlier. So it's probably a few days ago, definitely this week, no longer than 7 days, I'd say, where it talked about how you guys have accessed the Universal Stargate. And in doing so, it was a rewriting of all the soul contracts that you have and possibly adding new ones. And at this point, there's so many questions, and to sit down maybe when you have the time to reflect, where you could be alone, where you can really just kind of have that moment to go, okay, so I asked myself these questions 7 years ago at the beginning of this cycle. And how would I answer those questions now in reflection? Would I still feel the same way in this situation, in that dynamic? Would I still feel anxious in this situation, or if someone asked me this question? And spend some time to just really appreciate everything that you did that brought you here, everything you overcame while you're taking this time to just really pamper yourself, allowing your multi-layered bodies, your energy layers. They somewhatly mirror our chakra system. We have many different layers to our energy body, all the way down into the physical. And they interact and they manifest, they mirror one another. So you'll feel an emotion in your body. You'll feel the energy in a space affect your emotion and then your thought, or vice versa. And it can even come down into your physical body. A lot of clairs, a lot of different clairs. Certain ones will be more comfortable for you versus another person. They'll resonate with a different one more so than another. So it might be worthwhile doing a little investigation into exactly what clairs there are, and kind of deciding how you feel about where you are with what you are perceiving. And know that it's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. What's difficult now may not be difficult later because you continue to work with it and be patient with yourself through it. But I mean, I feel like I'm talking to people who already know this stuff. Like, you guys have been through so much. Yeah, the hardest part right now is going to allow yourself to rest and recuperate, because the feeling of I should be doing something, I need to be doing something, has been your state of getting through for the last 2-3 years in this endurance marathon triathlon. Now the challenge is to be more present in your physical body and in this space, in this moment, and finding ways to enjoy being anchored in your body, doing nice things for yourself, things that allow you to have less stress and to be in the moment and find that peace and that comfort, the relief, the lack of tension in your body, to be that nurturing, safe space for yourself. That is going to be the new challenge. That is your next 7 years, is all the different ways you can love yourself and allow that you are putting out to come to you. So the more that you love yourself, the more love that will come to you. And loving yourself is not necessarily like, I'm so wonderful, I'm so great. No, it's not necessarily that. There's a humbleness to it as well. There's a acknowledging when maybe you weren't fair to yourself, or when you weren't then fair to someone else because the expectations you had on yourself were unrealistic, and maybe that set the bar, or this example, or the standard felt a little too much for another person. So just really showing up authentically is a demonstration of strength. Choosing to be vulnerable is a choice. And it takes strength to decide who, where, and when you do this, because you're acknowledging that, yeah, in that moment, you're giving them the ability to be low vibrational, but that is still their choice, and you're going to be you, and you're good with you because you did what you felt was right. How they handle it is on them. You get to go to bed at night knowing that you handled yourself in a way that you could feel okay with, your own boundaries and your own expectations of yourself, because it's not necessarily about them. It's about your peace of mind. It's about knowing that you've grown, and When you do that, you can inspire others to see that strength in you. Maybe they've never seen it. Maybe they've never seen someone move like that. The power of your butterfly wings flapping, choosing to be present and see the positive, is far beyond what we can see. Can you imagine the butterfly on one side of the world flapping their wings and going, "You mean I just created a tornado that took out like a whole bunch of stuff on the other side of the planet?" Ha, sure I did. But, chaos, math, it's a contributing factor. So your flapping of your butterfly wings, yeah, it eventually culminates in some kind of co-creation with other butterflies flapping their wings, and it turns into an avalanche, which is a force of nature. Good luck stopping that. You just have to wait for it to run its course. So there's also definitely a synchronicity of the 7 years with relationships. There's going to be that dynamic present for some of you here. Some of you, this is not your cup of tea, but others, it may be something that resonates, because when you walk beside someone who knows who they are, it's a choice to grow together at that 7-year part, because you've completed a challenge, a deciding of what you would like to create, a healing, a recuperating, another deciding. This is that cycle, and when you choose, it is a choice. It is not easy to choose to walk beside another person who's just as stubborn and independent and, oh, excuse me, if you're called to this content, just as philosophical as you. This is multifaceted, but it is a choice. It is a choice. And to know that, and I'll say that because I have actually witnessed it in my own life, and I know how rare it is. And I witnessed that for a reason. So when I speak these words, it's because they are true. I know they're true. And it's not easy, but it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. Hands down. And it may very well be something that has made, because they're not the only example of that in this world, that other couples like that were creating their butterfly wing flapping effects, and that's what made this possible in this cycle, for us to be able to liberate ourselves from that parasitic ugh, and turn our boundaries, our energetic field, our skin, in this metaphor, into diamonds. Impenetrable. It couldn't affect us anymore. We were stronger. It had to move on. It had to let go. So that's pretty much what came through. And yeah, like I said, I could give more detail, but I just have too much respect, not only for those individuals, but it's also a thing of, you guys are each walking your own unique path, and I want to respect that path. I want you to come to this conclusion or these conclusions, or see these patterns that you're brought to on your own, and own it as yours, because it's something that I think is present everywhere to some extent. Everyone's story, everyone's region, everyone's little corner of the planet, and that is yours. I don't want to cross that boundary. I want to respect your path and your unfolding and your discovery of yourself and the world, and the hand that is unseen in this world that cares and guides us. As I said, this last thing in this series was, nobody got hurt. If it had been one more day, a lot of people could have gotten hurt. But all these God incidences occurred for no one to end up being hurt. So that is a very good sign that the wheel has already turned. And it's why we were able to free ourselves from this vampire-like energy. So you guys are quote unquote badasses, and it's time to pamper yourselves and recuperate and celebrate. Celebrate just being on this side of it. Next 2 to 3 years will be anchoring in that new foundation and discovering who you are without that. And gosh, what an adventure. All right. And that will bring to close this reading at this time. The divine, the love within me sees and honors the divine, the love within you. Namaste.